Okay, well, I think this is a great time to get started here. As we've been saying all morning, happy St. Patrick's Day, and also just good morning, and thank you for being here. We have an amazing session lined up, and this marks episode 5, halfway through season 3, and we're just so happy to be making these and to be having you all, I guess, show up and show out for each episode. And this is exactly what we created this for. So it was for creating a space that we can connect, have pride in what we do day in and day out, and walking away from these sessions invigorated to get out and make the world a better place. And I feel like we've created that every episode, and I just want to thank you all for being here. I really, from the bottom of my heart, and all the staff here at CEF, we're so excited to have Coffee with CEF platform to share with you every week. So I can't wait to get started. For those of you who are joining for the first time, we thank you for coming out and hope that you enjoy this episode. Please remember that we'll have this episode and along with all of our other episodes from all our past seasons, we have them on our website at cefdn.org and /coffee with CEF, same place that you RSVP'd to be here today. So I'm your host, Johnny Munoz, and I'm the Engagement and Stewardship Manager for the Catholic Education Foundation of Los Angeles. CEF is best known in the LA Catholic community and beyond for providing tuition awards to thousands of students every year, thanks to the tremendous and passionate support of our donors. And with that said, I want to go ahead and share my screen so that way we can tackle some of that housekeeping items that we always do to make sure you guys are all prepared for today's session. And so first things first, we ask you to take a few seconds to glance at the top right corner of your screen. This is where you can select your view of the session. In order to keep focused on who is speaking, we strongly suggest setting it to speaker view. As you may remember, we start with all our microphones muted, but with that said, we do encourage you to interact with our guests by entering any questions you may have for them in the chat feature, and we will periodically go check them and make sure that we address them throughout the show. And so lastly, if you have any questions for us or need to reach out with any technical difficulties, feel free to reach out in the chat feature. And Sandra is here this morning, and she will serve as our technical assistant. So Sandra, if you can unmute and welcome everyone and introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. Happy St. Patty's Day. If you guys have, like Johnny said, any technical difficulties, please send them down my way in the chat feature down below. And so excited to start this morning with you all.
Thanks, Sandra. I appreciate it. And Sandra is a CEF alum too. So being that this episode is full of CEF alums, that it's a very true statement there. So thanks, Sandra. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and see. So to set the moment right and give thanks, we will continue our commitment in starting each episode with a moment of prayer. We feel extremely blessed to learn from each other weekly, and because of this, we will begin these sessions to welcome and acknowledge God's presence. So I invite you all to take a few seconds to yourself and thank God for all He has done and continues to do for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so this morning, we are super elated. We are just like over the moon for this episode. We will be hearing from 4 outstanding CEF alum from the class of 2020. These graduates attended both St. Pius X, St. Matthias Academy in Downey. We will refer to them as PMA. So whenever you hear PMA, you'll know that we're talking about St. Pius Matthias. And we will also hear from Cathedral High School down in Chinatown. And these 4 alum are current college freshmen. So they are fresh in there, and they're not even done with their first year. And so that's why we're so excited to hear from them. We're going to be hearing some stories of strength, resiliency, trust in God's plan for them during this pandemic. And most of all, we just ask them to be honest and give us a true account of how they're really feeling, because we know this year has been unlike any other. So, but yes, I mean, from missing prom to a grad night to the full graduation ceremony, then hopping into, entering college life and whether living in the dorm or being able to walk down the halls of that new college or university. Man, this is definitely what we're here for this morning. So we definitely want to hear these stories. And so without further ado, I'm going to start out by introducing our Catholic school administrator from St. Pius Matthias and her two alums. And so this morning we have Renee Salvador, Director of Advancement for St. Pius Matthias Academy. Renee Salvador is in her 8th year with the Archdiocese of Los Angeles' Department of Catholic Schools. A Pius X high school alum, she returned to her alma mater nearly 2 years ago. Renee is a product of Catholic education, beginning with elementary school at Our Lady of the Rosary in Paramount, all the way to receiving her bachelor's degree in business administration from Mount St. Mary's University. In addition to her official capacity and alumni status, Renee is also a proud PMA warrior parent of a current senior and sophomore student there as well. So congratulations and thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited for today too.
Absolutely. Thanks, Renee. We also have Alexia Diaz with us on the call. She is a CEF recipient and class of 2020 graduate from PMA. Currently, she is a first year at California State University, Fullerton. Alexia is majoring in public health. During her free time, she enjoys reading, filming, watching YouTube videos, and working out, always staying active during this pandemic. That's amazing. Thanks for joining us this morning, Alexia. Happy to have you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we also have Robert Barretto, who is also a CEF recipient and class of 2020 graduate from PMA. Robert is currently attending California State University of Long Beach. He is majoring in business management / accounting. He was born and raised in California and is a big basketball fan who loves the champions, the Lakers. Robert, kudos to the Laker Nation, baby. Robert, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to be here with us.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely, Robert. Thank you. And from Cathedral High School, we have Martin Farfan. He is the president of Cathedral High School. And you know what? I think we weren't able to put up a proper introduction and bio this morning. It was just like a last second thing for us, and we weren't able to do it. So I'm going to wing this one. Martin Farfan has run the past 2 years with the CEF racing team. This is something that we do. We run the marathon and also the half marathon, and he was there 2019, 2020. And this just goes to show how much of an advocate he is for Catholic school students. He's been at Cathedral High School for countless years, probably close to 2 decades. He's the cross-country coach. I mean, this is he is a wonderful asset to the Phantom community. And if you are a alum, if you work there, if you know anything and partner with Cathedral, you will definitely cross by his name and know of his presence. So, Martin, we're so happy to have you, and thanks for all that you do for Cathedral.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Definitely, absolutely. And following that too, we have Jason Argueta. He's a CEF recipient and class of 2020 graduate. Sorry about that. From Cathedral High School. Jason is from Southgate, California. He is currently attending the University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg and plays for their soccer team. And his most notable first semester achievement is being a proud member of Phi Eta Sigma Honor Society. Kudos. I love this. Amazing. Thanks for joining us all the way from the East Coast, Jason.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. And last but certainly not least, we've got Malik Whitehead on the call. He is a CEF recipient and class of 2020 graduate from Cathedral as well. He's currently a freshman at USC. He is studying neuroscience, and he is on the pre-med track to become a neurosurgeon. At Cathedral, Malik participated in Student Government, Service C, and the Math and Science Academy, as well as other extracurricular and clubs. Outstanding. Thanks for joining us, Malik.
Of course, thank you.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. So yeah, like I said, this is a wonderful lineup of guests that we have here, and we're so eager to hear all of your stories of perseverance through this past, I would say 9-10 months of a freshman year that you've had. But before we get started, we will do our proverbial question that we love to ask on this episode, which is finding out what each of our guests are drinking. And so I will ask Martin, I will ask Renee, but most importantly, I want to find out what freshmen in college drink. What do you guys drink to start off your mornings? Robert, I'm going to start with you. Did you bring a mug or a cup of any sort of beverage that you usually start your mornings with?
So as you may like know, I do work at Starbucks. So like I do know a little bit about coffee.
There you go. There you go.
Every morning I drink a venti shaken espresso. So just 5
Shaken.
shots with 4 pumps of vanilla and 2 toffee nut, and with half and half with cinnamon powder on top. And that's what I drink clearly. I'm a night shift worker, so I don't really drink coffee in the morning. I drink coffee at night because I'm up till like 1 in the morning working.
There you go. Diligently putting in those hours, man. So your morning is the evening. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
what was that called? You said
basically.
the shaken espresso?
Yeah, it's a shaken ice espresso. Yeah.
Wow, 5 shots. Hey, if you need it, you need it, right? I love
Yeah.
learning of all those new drinks at Starbucks. That's amazing. And let's go over to Malik. Did you bring anything that you're sipping on this morning?
Well, usually morning I have to start off with water. This one's already down. Just 'cause I think I woke up around 8 this morning, and then if I'm not drinking water, I might cheat with an iced coffee.
Nice.
Usually it's from McDonald's. I like the iced hazelnut, but that one's from Jack in the Box. So that's usually the morning.
Absolutely. Hey, water, stay hydrated. That's good. I love to see that. We're also staying healthy. And Alexia, did you bring something interesting this morning to sip on?
I have water.
Yep.
I'm not like Robert having Starbucks, but I love Starbucks.
You do not have to. That's so funny. We always say with coffee with CEF, you don't have to have coffee. You can have kombucha, tea, or whatever it is. Water is probably the best thing to drink in the mornings. Keep you focused. Thank you so much. And then let's go to Jason. Jason, what are you drinking this morning?
Well, of course, right now it's like 1 p.m. So, but in the morning, I always have like tea, and I always drink a protein shake every morning. That's like my daily routine. When I have the chance, I go to the gym. If not, I have like an early class, so that keeps me awake.
Wow, that's good. Keep it going. Keep up the good work. I love hearing that, Jason. I appreciate it. Now we will jump over to Renee. Are you drinking tea, coffee, or what is it? What is the morning elixir for you?
Always coffee, always coffee. And I usually just, if it's from home, put it in my little home hydro with my little be happy messages and things to remind me that, you know, it's morning and the coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but it's still a great day. But it's just a plain coffee with a little bit of cream. And if I end up driving somewhere for coffee, it's usually McDonald's, because I agree, I love McDonald's coffee in the morning too.
It's so good. We also have the K cups from McDonald's here, and so yeah, it's always a good solid choice. Last but not least, again, Martin, are you drinking anything this morning?
Oh yeah, coffee. So I'm a coffee fiend. So I usually have 2 cups of coffee. I'm an early riser, so I'm up at 4:30. I have 2 cups of coffee, and in the office I usually have another 2 to 3 after practice. So I'm on my second one, so I got 1 more to go. So yeah, that's me.
I'm on my second one as well too, but it looks like you showed us your cup, and I love the design on it, but there's also something on your finger that just sparked my interest. What is that?
Oh, that's my Cathedral. That's my class ring, class of 86. Yeah,
86.
it's the purple. Yeah.
This is the episode of the alums. You see that? That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it is. I see Albert smiling too.
Oh yeah. That's so good. Thanks, Martin. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, let's just jump in. I'm super excited about today's episode. And so I positioned this very first question to go to both yourself and Renee as the administrators of these 2 wonderful Catholic schools. And so before we dive into, I guess, life a year ago and the transition these students had to go through, along with the countless obstacles they overcame just entering into their freshman year with distance learning restrictions and all, would you be able to fill us in and maybe paint a picture on what school life looks like at PMA and at Cathedral for you 2 right now? Let's go with Martin. Why don't you go first?
All right. Yeah, it's been obviously for all of us a different year. So our students have been, and our graduates that are talking today experienced it when we shut down last year at this time. We thought it was going to be for a few weeks and we'd be back. And here we are a year later and we're still not back. So we've been distance learning. We're an iPad school. So all our students already were on the iPad. Their books are on the iPad. So that made the transition much easier for us. We did have students come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays that needed to see physical teachers for extra help. And we've been doing that most of the time. The only time we shut that down was in December when the numbers spiked. Sports teams have been going off and on, but now we're actually competing So cross country has started, soccer started, football has started, and basketball actually today, I think might be getting into the gym on limited access, but inside. So overall, it's been different. Well, we prefer to be here physically. We're supposed to reopen on a hybrid mode when we get back in April from the spring break, from the Easter break. So we'll see how that goes. But only about half of the students are choosing to come back physically. So of our student body, we'll have 320 students that'll be back on campus starting after the Easter break. So overall, in a nutshell, it's just been different, but I mean, we've tried, and the students have tried to make the best out of it.
Sure, absolutely. And for yourself, when you continued to do your work, did you do it in your office or did you have a stint at home?
Oh yeah, so no, we never shut down our offices. So our teachers have been teaching from the classroom here. And also because we were going to have students come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays to make appointments to see teachers. So the positive thing for us is our teachers are already used to being in the classroom and they're used to dealing with students, and our coaches have been with the athletes. So there is, and I know in some campuses, well, now less because of the vaccines, but I know there was a hesitation from some campuses of teachers wanting to come back, but that hasn't been the case here. Our teachers have always been teaching out of the classroom.
That's amazing to hear. Well, we thank those teachers for their bravery and their courage to continue what they're doing for your students. So that's good news. And so, Renee, we're going to ask you the same question as well. Too. What does PMA look like currently?
Very, very similar to what Martin shared. Our teachers have been incredible. It's really been a huge blessing for me just to be able to watch a really talented group of administrators and teachers kind of turn everything around from the way that they knew to be true to this different type of hybrid model and kind of really go with it. We didn't miss a beat. You know, we continued going through the whole pandemic, whether it was always virtual with the teachers coming in, sometimes working partially from home, but they continued to teach the kids and the kids continued to learn. They remained engaged, which was amazing to watch because I also got to watch it as a parent. So that was beautiful to see that my kids had not been forgotten in any way, because it wasn't just the academics, although that's of course an important piece, but the way that student life continued to connect with them and run ASB, and ASB continue to reach out. Our campus ministry has been wonderful, conducting on virtual, sometimes on occasion they do virtual retreats, and sometimes they actually bring the kids on campus and we've done drive-in masses. And so just to think about the group of people that has been able to truly, and I know we overuse the word pivot these days, but really, really, truly pivot and just change the way that everything was done to make it so that we almost didn't skip a beat, was just really beautiful. And so currently we have had some cohorts of students come on campus already, but we are looking to go fully back on the 19th of April. And similar to Martin, we have probably about half to 70% of our population that has now at this point decided to not return and still attend virtual. So the teachers will be doing a form of hybrid, but our athletics are back up. You know, I don't want to say in full swing because it's not that this year, but in as much as we can do, we're doing. The kids are here. And for me, even though I don't directly interact with kids on a day-to-day basis, for me the energy has been really different not having them here. It kind of is what helps to keep me going and to keep me motivated. So each time we get the opportunity to see them or to see our wonderfully supportive families, it really does a lot. And I am personally looking forward to hearing the hallways full again and the kids walking around and seeing our campus full.
That's amazing. That's truly remarkable as well too. And I understand, I want to acknowledge and recognize that campuses look totally different throughout all of the pastoral regions, but particularly Cathedral and St. Pius, you guys have a large campus, and you guys have the resources to have these extra elements, and to have that element of being able to throw mass, I'm sure opened up a window to the community and being able to see them and probably brighten your guys'. So kudos to that as well too, to continuing to stay connected. Renee, thank you so much. And so with that said, we are going to jump in because this is a very exciting episode for me. Being at Catholic Education Foundation for about 7 to 8 years, it's always sort of an obstacle for us to connect with our alums. And so once they spread their wings and they take off and they go their ways into their illustrious careers or into their college and university of choice, it's sometimes hard for us to kind of track them back down. And so today is especially wonderful because Martin, Renee, and Veronica over at PMA have found a way to bring back some of these alums. And so I know that Martin and Renee, you probably know these students well from their past year, but we are going to jump in and take full advantage of having you guys. And we won't take up too much time because I know you guys are in your college classes, but we will have the meat and potatoes of this episode be about the students. And so this first question, we're going to do like a round table, and so we'll jump around organically with this. But the very first question, I'm gonna center and focus this on the PMA students. So this is Robert and Alexia. If you could describe with one word, how has college been for you so far? Alexia, go ahead.
I have to say stressful.
Okay.
Because online Zoom, it's really hard for me because I'm a type of student that learns like in person. Like I have to see what I have to be doing. So online is quite difficult for me, but it may be difficult for other people. So yeah.
Right. Thank you so much too, and being able to withstand something like this. And I say something as in the environment of opening up a laptop or a computer and looking straight into a screen for all of your connections. And so though that's definitely has to be stressful for sure. So that's very valid, and we hear you. Do not worry. And so let's go over to Robert as well too. If you could describe this first 9 months of college for you, what word would you use and why?
The word I would use would easily be unexpected, because you don't really, like, this is my first time ever in college. Obviously the environment is different, and you haven't met any of your counselors, you haven't met any of your teachers personally, so you just get all the information as you go. You get an email and you're like, oh, okay, I have to do this, or your counselor like tells you something, you're like, oh, okay, that's on my checklist next. So it's not something like I know what's coming in the future. I just know like, oh, these are my classes, this is what I'm gonna do. But other than that, everything is just coming one by one. And for sure, like whether it's assignments, extracurriculars, clubs, whatever it is just unexpected. It just comes your way and you just take it head on.
That's a great adjective to describe this first year for you. And we hear you as well too, Robert. And so you guys, Jason and Malik, you won't get away with this one. Also, to Jason and Malik, if you could describe with one word, how has college been for you so far? Malik, why don't you go first?
Me, college has been one word, I'd say unbalanced. I say this because on one hand, I'm experiencing this new experience. I'm going to college. I'm officially an adult. Technically, like in the eyes of the law and whatnot. So I'm supposed to be, moving on to my next chapter in life. But since we're in quarantine, I'm still at home and I'm stuck in my room and I'm going through this new experience in my room, which is very familiar. I was expecting to be, in an unfamiliar place, like on school, figuring out how I'm gonna wake up, how I'm gonna make breakfast, all this, but I'm still at home. So now college feels like high school plus. So it's just been really weird and unexpected. I thought it was gonna be this, but now I'm still stuck at home and I'm just looking forward to the fall.
Well, I appreciate that perspective. Let's see what Jason has to say. He's a little unique within this call because he actually is in Pennsylvania. And so he got to do a bit of the transition, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Jason. What's one word you would use to best describe how college has been so far?
I would say blessed. I think, like you said, I'm kind of unique here in this conversation because I had the privilege to come and live here on campus. I'm actually in a apartment style dorm. My roommates are amazing. I have a lot of friends here. We have events. Despite COVID, it's not that bad. Sports has been up. It's been very flexible with classes, with ongoing life. I think this isn't what I expected, but they're doing their best to give that to their students. So I'm truly blessed to be here right now.
Thank you for sharing, Jason. We're very honored to have you on the call. I know it's 1:00 over there, and so you found a way to be with us today as well too. So thank you. And so that just opens up. I'm so sorry about that. That opens up just the next the question that I have for all of you too is how have you been experiencing and dealing with the new workload that university and college presents? I'm sure in some cases it could be a stark difference and it could be something that's overwhelming. But I would love to hear your guys' take on sort of that workload, especially with this sort of Zoom environment that we have too. But how has the workload differed from high school classes to now your college classes? And then also to add in there too, are you on campus yet, or are you still taking class virtually? So Alexia, could you give us a little insight on that, on your workload, how it's differed from high school?
Yeah, so high school workload, teachers are always on you, meaning that they're like, this assignment is due today, and then another assignment is due tomorrow. In college assignments, all assignments for every class, well, in my case, are due on Sundays. So that gives me time to do one class homework on this day, and then the next day I do another class, so I can send them in that day. As for and yeah, so that's how the college homework assignment is. But yeah, what was the other question you said?
Yeah, no, it's okay. And have you seen it be particularly more difficult than high school, or kind of have you found that sort of transition be pretty smooth for you? Yeah.
I feel like the transition is pretty smooth for me because I'm not constantly like, oh my God, this is due on this day and this is due on that day. I'm just like really calm about it.
That's wonderful. And so you are on campus taking?
No, I'm not on campus.
And where is your classroom now? Is it sort of in your bedroom? Does it move around the house? How does that look?
Okay,
for
so
you?
my classroom is in my room, and I know people have classes on campus, such as labs.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm not taking any labs, so right now I'm just online.
Got it. All right. And so we'll jump over to Jason with that same question. Have you noticed a difference as far as the workload from high school to now over there at Pitt? And are you also taking classes sort of from your apartment style dorm, or do you have a few sort of like Alexia mentioned labs that you may go sort of into the actual campus for?
I think first and foremost, the workload being compared to high school is, well, in my experience, has not been that bad. My first semester was kind of tough because I had 7 classes. I decided to do that to keep busy and just so the transition could be easier. But like Alexia said, in high school, they have certain days throughout the 5-day, which is Monday through Friday. And here in college, you have until Sunday at 12 p.m. Yeah, I think it's been a good transition overall. I think Cathedral has also helped me have that sort of experience already, so it wasn't that hard. Regarding in-person classes, last semester I had in-person. This semester, not really, just because of numbers and the different type of atmosphere in different classrooms, and this it's just the different classes. So, for example, I had a computer science class last semester. It was just the professor, another student, and me, and then everyone else was in Zoom.
Oh,
It was so weird. But now I decided to take everything through Zoom because of soccer season. So I wouldn't want to expose myself to other students and come with the soccer team and hopefully be healthy still.
Yeah, absolutely. No, those seem like you got a good basis of making decisions for that as well too. Is all a new world for us all, and so yeah, that's got to be super interesting to be into a classroom with just one-on-one, and then have everyone else on Zoom. And so yeah, just I give it to you. And so thank you so much just for being an outstanding student and being able to endure something like that. And that's so I'll also go now to Malik. Of the courses that you're currently taking, which is your favorite, and do you feel like Cathedral prepared you for that class?
My favorite class, surprisingly, it's a class called Soundscapes. It's kind of like the study of sounds. It's one of my G's. I had to, well, like in the bank, I had to take. I chose this one just like I saw the professor was good, so I chose it. And it's actually pretty interesting. I've never heard of a class like this, or didn't even know this study existed. But like listening to the professor and doing like the projects and whatnot are very interesting. But other than that class though, like I'm a science major, so most of my classes are science classes. And I feel like the difficulty spike hasn't really hit me yet, maybe because I'm online, but most of the classes are just like lecture halls. The professor talks and you'll have like a worksheet or something to do afterwards. But it's not that work. There's not too much work with that, which is kind of like I guess where the difficulty comes, because you don't really know how to check yourself. Like with high school, you have homework usually every night or every other night. But in college, we don't really have homework that much. It's really just study on your own. Then you have an exam on this date. So I feel like that's kind of like the little difficulty spike. But I feel like Cathedral the same way. Like we'll have our lectures, and then the way our schedule was set up back when I was in school was like we'll have like class like every other day, which is exactly how my classes are at USC. Like every other day I have the class. So it's kind of just like direct parallels, which is pretty cool. So.
That's super awesome. Yeah, no, and that was more of a question for me because it's sort of a scratch my own itch type thing, because I remember my experience when I jumped in the University of Arizona, those lecture halls with no accountability. Did you show up? Did you not show up? A lot of these homework assignments were like through the portal, and you had to go find the link and go keep yourself up to speed on if you had quizzes coming up. And so that was always a sort of a stark difference for me too, that sort of hit me right in the face at the beginning. And so I was like, I always want to be able to ask college freshmen how they feel when they get in there. And this world is totally different now, but it seems like you've been prepared very well over there at Cathedral to kind of continue this sort of this class template that you have there at USC. So that's good to hear for sure. Let's go ahead and go over now to Robert. Same question for you. Of the courses that you're currently taking, I know you're on the track for accounting. Is there one that sticks out as your favorite? And how prepared for this class do you feel like you are?
One of my favorite classes I'm taking so far, I'm taking an accounting class, but surprisingly, it's not my favorite. Heavy workload, but my favorite class so far is my political science class. I've always been into like the history of just like the political science, and especially like now because they're so interesting and heated. So it's just like heavy in events, current events, not even talking about the past anymore. So it's really interesting to go on Zoom and have everyone's opinions on certain things. But in terms of the workload, I do believe PMA really helped me a lot. The spike of, I guess, of how hard it is has not hit me yet as well. But I was in the Honor Scholars program in PMA, and they're really heavy on the like preparation of college success. And we had different people from different universities that would come and either like mentor us or give us worksheets or some type of idea what the workload would be. So we had once some people from USC come to our school, and to everyone in an Honor Scholars program, they would give us like some type of workload so you can have an idea of what type of a day of a life of a college student would be and how to prepare yourself. And although it's quite different since it's online, you get an idea. And especially like, I'm not too worried once school starts because of that.
Right. Okay, so that's good to hear then. And so this is going to be sort of a question directed to all of you, of course, to individually answer it in your own words. But I take this in a new direction as far as context. But I would say this social and like physical environment that we've all had to adapt to has certainly kept us completely away from each other for the most part. And I know that God asks us to grow in community and to serve one another. And so with the context of connection, whether it be feeling connected to the subject matter and to the school that you're attending, or just simply, attempting to unplug and engage in fellowship and friendship with your classmates and friends. And I'm sure the way it is now is not something you ever imagined that you would have to go through or to have to be confronted with. And so I guess the question I beg to ask is, how are you all connecting? How are you connecting with your friends and students, your fellow classmates, maybe classmates that you that went to your high school and now are attending the same classes as you now? How are you able to make those connections? Is it just through chat? Are you able to go out and see each other? Because I know that's a big element in school and bringing us all together and feeling the growth that school gives us. And so the second is, how are you connecting with your teachers? I mean, a question I had was, have you even met your teachers other than through online? Were there college visits? And so that's kind of where that comes from. And so what I do want to ask is see if Jason can start us out. How have you been able to connect with your friends and your classmates? And then second, how have you been able to sort of take that advantage and ask your teacher for extra help or to connect with them if you have any questions?
We actually have been going and doing stuff outside the classroom, if you could say that. Yeah, when we need help, we reach out, like, and it's hard to make friends in Zoom, but I feel like there's like a chat box here. You could just search them up in social media quickly. Yeah, it's so weird to make friends nowadays, but friends are made, and then once you know, hey, do I have you in this class, you get together, and then if you want to do a study group, study for the test or exam, it's just wonderful. The teachers this semester, I haven't met them other than Zoom. It's kind of frustrating, especially since I'm in business. I have accounting. I get so lost sometimes, and I have to wait for those office hours through Zoom again. I think that's just the frustrating part, because if it was in person, maybe after class, you could just go up to him and he will explain. But
Absolutely.
that's how it is right now.
And another quick question too for you specifically, did you have any other phantoms that went to Pitt with you as well too?
No, I was the only one.
Yeah, so it's a whole new friendship that you're trying to forge with these people through Zoom. Wow, that's got to be difficult, but that's truly remarkable. I'm glad you said that too. And let's go over to Alexia. How have you been able to connect with your fellow classmates and your students, or maybe even some friends that also went to your same college? And also,
I do have some friends that I've known since elementary school that are currently attending Fullerton, so that's quite nice, and I can talk to them, but they're not in my class, so that's harder. But for every class, I think for every school also, we make a Discord, so we talk about what homework there is, when's the quiz, if class is canceled or not. But also we can chat and send our socials like Instagram or Snapchat so that we can connect with them. And let's say we have a group project. The teacher usually puts like a homework, like an assignment on Canva, where we can drop our numbers and the time they can call us. And then from there, we get into the group chat and start talking about the projects we.
Nice. And have you been enjoying that? Have you found that beneficial for you in your classes?
No, because I like to have a conversation like in person rather than during text, because it's very hard to communicate over text rather than in person.
Sure. And that's the only reason I ask it too, is it's like, in theory, hey, there's social media, you know, the people that make up sort of the policies, and this would be a great idea and they can connect this way. But I mean, there's that practicality of it too. And so it's not going to be any easier to have to connect through all of these different devices and electronics. And I cannot wait for the day that we are all safe and we can all kind of resume the connections that we all have with each other. And so I look forward to that. And let's go over to Malik. How are your connections going? Do you feel connected to the students there at USC? Are there events that you've gone to in the realm of sort of connecting with other students? Yeah.
See, connecting. Okay, so first semester was a bit difficult. I guess everyone trying to get acquainted to, you know, school online and whatnot. So that was a little bit harder. Mostly everyone had their cameras off, muted, and like really no socialization in the classroom. Then as soon as class ends, there was no communication between classmates and whatnot. So that was a bit difficult. I think I talked to my teacher more than I did other students that first semester. Right. So that was a bit rough. But second semester, I feel like everybody just figured it out. The first day of class, everyone like created a group me. So we should have huge like a group chat. So like everybody in the class. So that's where we talk about class, homework, things are coming up and whatnot. Sure. So that's been actually really helpful. That's kind of how I've met classmates and kind of like work together for study groups. I haven't made too many friends though. It's kind of hard to do that. Usually it seems like everyone right now is just trying to get the work done and get out. There's like no like, we can have fun, we can be friends. I guess we're waiting for we're on campus face to face because it's still weird online. So that's kind of what we're waiting for right now. And then that first semester, I had one Cathedral student that came with me. He was one of my closer friends, but we didn't have any classes together. He was for business and I'm a science major, so there's no way for us to mesh. So I couldn't even really talk to him about things that things that much. So yeah.
Wow. And then with teachers, have you been able to sort of get some counsel or guidance on homework assignments or anything like that? What do office hours look like when they provide that for you?
Office hours are pretty nice. They'll set their times. They may do like once or twice a week. You can just come into the Zoom and then ask any questions that you want. Sure. For the teachers, most of the time they encourage people to just come even if you don't have questions. Oftentimes I don't really have questions, but I like to see what other students are like thinking about, to see like what I should be thinking about or things that I didn't think of. So that's been really helpful to like actually get to speak to the teacher, like have them know your name, what you look like. Because usually they're just, putting up the screen and just talking. They don't really look at the students and whatnot.
Right. Oh, that's good. I like that perspective of sort of fly on the wall. Some getting all the perspectives is an element of that learning and that growth too. And so I'm glad that you take the advantage or take advantage of that too. So that's good, Malik. And then lastly with Robert. Robert, how do you feel your challenges and obstacles with connection have been? Have you been able to connect with some of your old classmates? Or I remember when we prepared this episode, you are particularly busy because you have a job. And so we'd like to see how you're staying connected with your friends and with your teachers.
So yeah, kind of the same like dynamic as Malik. Like there's Discords and other group chats where you keep updated with other people that other classmates are in your class saying like, oh, this is due, be ready for this. Is there even a quiz today? Stuff like that. But yeah, because I do work, it's very useful to have like that communication with like either students or especially the professor, because there's so many times like I work, like I reiterated like earlier in this episode, that I do work night shifts. So sometimes I just cannot turn in the homework, and it's not because I don't want to, it's like I can't. So having that communication with that professor, saying like, hey, I have work, but 12:30 I'll turn it in, don't worry about it, or before the Zoom class tomorrow I'll turn it in. Right. So having that communication really has benefited me, because without it I will not be passing my classes, and it gives me like, I guess, that preparation for that adult life, having that communication with the higher ups and making sure that my responsibilities are met, not only financially but when it comes to school and all that education stuff.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. And that's something that I think we talked about before too, is like finding silver linings to all of this. And I see from a different perspective, so much elements of growth that you guys are able to obtain through going to classes in Zoom, and the awkwardness of not really being able to talk to a teacher or explain yourself. And so there's a proactivity that you need to do, which is go out, send that email, send a few emails if you don't get responses. And some of that stuff is going to help you, if not all of that stuff is going to help you in the future to have open lines of communication with your colleagues, with your supervisors, with your friends, with your family. And so being proactive and getting out ahead of things, it seems like something that you guys are all doing. And so there's that piece of that where you got to go on, see what homework assignments, go on and get into those weird Discords, and you just got to make it happen, because you will be encountering some of these similar obstacles in life as well too. So take these with a grain of salt, but also make sure you are learning from all of it too. And so don't let this time pass you. God doesn't give us more than what we can handle. And so as overwhelming as it could be, I'm sure, or as it could feel, it seems like you guys are all persevering through this weird time. And so I'm very, very proud of all of you. I'm going to maybe wrap up this conversation. We haven't gotten a lot of questions from the guests, so I'm sure they're just sort of listening in and eagerly taking in all of your testimonies and experiences. But I'm going to do this one as a rapid fire question for all four of you. So I hope we have some fun with this. It's just one question, but let's go with Jason. How excited are you to get back to in-person classes, and why?
I'm actually kind of worried about it, to be honest.
There you go.
This is weird because we use so much resources during Zoom that it's just, you're going to be completely separated from it once you go in person. But having connections, being able to meet new people and then talk to the teacher or professor, it's just amazing. So I am excited, but I'm worried.
That's a reason why I bring it up too, because there's so many different environments. You're in Pennsylvania, we're in California. We're still in the middle of a scary time too. And so we've uncovered and discovered some efficiency that we're able to do by having Zoom and to have, resources at our fingertips. And so we're going to talk more about that in a second, but let's go over to Malik. What is your excitement level?
I'm very excited because that means I'll finally be on campus living that college lifestyle that I've been wanting for since I graduated. I remember right after school, me and my friend were applying for rooms, and then they shut that down. So very excited to get back to class, ready to meet classmates, professors, actually be in the classroom. I feel that learning online has been kind of difficult for me.
Right.
So I'm just excited to get back in the classroom.
Any fraternities, any clubs? I know you did extracurriculars and clubs at Cathedral. Is there anything that you're like?
I don't even know yet. I definitely want to be like in the student sports clubs, like the ones that that goes to the games and whatnot. That's like on my list for going to USC. I want to go visit the sports, see what we have to offer. So.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, that's thanks for sharing. We have a few questions come in. So before I go to Alexia and Robert, I would love to address these. And so in our audience, we have somebody who asked, is there any hope to get to in-person classes this year for you guys? And so if any four of you want to let us know of an update that they've given you, like, hey, it's going to be here, or is everything just going to kind of wait until the fall? Let's see, Alexia, maybe. Have you gotten any sort of an update?
I think it's just the fall when we can return back into in-person classes, but as of now, it's still online.
Sure. And Robert, is it the same for you as well too? Have they given you guys a date?
A specific date, no. They do say the fall semester, but they're doing like a huge push. Like all of the Cal State Long Beach is basically a vaccine site. Right? Like you could register to get your vaccine. So they're really, really pushing to like everyone to go back in the fall.
Yep. And how about Malik? You got any?
Yeah, same with us. Nothing for this semester, but our moving day is August 18th. So I'm counting the days. Counting the days.
There we go. Jason, I know it may be a little different for you. I know you've been, going into classes solo, and you've kind of had a different environment over there. But have they let you guys all know at certain capacity if kids are going to go in? Is there going to be a hybrid thing? Have they let you know?
Interesting enough, they have options to keep Zoom going while in person for next fall. So I think they're still waiting. Because I know for sure we're having a season next semester in the fall. So that's just still an option. So everything is up in the air here.
Yeah. No, that all makes sense as well too. And so there's a term that they say we're flying, we're building the plane as we're flying it. And it seems like this year has been a piece of that come to reality in so many different ways. And too, so we literally have to be at the edge of our seat waiting to see what we're going to do next. And so you're not alone. You're not alone in that regard. Let's go over to Robert and Alexia as well too. How are your excitement levels to get back to in-person classes, and why? Alexia.
My levels are pretty high because I want to meet new people, and like as I said, I'm the type of student that learns from being shown, so that's going to be really helpful for me being in person.
Yes, I'm a tactile learner as well too. I need to see, I need to feel, I need to watch it happen for sure. And there's a lot of us that are like that too. So I totally feel and understand where you're coming from. And Robert, where's the excitement level for you to get back to in person?
I think I'm in the middle. Just for the simple fact that I do have other responsibilities other than like school, or even though that is a priority. I have accustomed so much to online learning that I believe for the next semester, even though if they do give me the option to go back to like in person, I'll only take the hard classes, but majority of my classes will still be online just because of how flexible my schedule like was because of online classes. Like I can't imagine driving all the way to Long Beach, going to class, and then having to think like, dang, I have to drive back in the traffic, like to work. And like to me, that just sounds crazy and like so far fetched that I'm excited for the fact that college will resume how it should be. But in terms of myself and how I want to make my schedule, I want to do it how it benefits me and either how I learn and how it will benefit me in other aspects of my life as well.
Right. And so, oh, wow. I think that's a perfect segue to close up our episode as well, too, because I'm going to go to back to Martin and Renee as well to ask how they are seeing sort of the feedback as well, too. But I think you brought up a good thing or a good topic is the fact that we may see a divide. There may be two different schools of thought as far as going back. Some students are super excited. They cannot wait. Some students have found what really works for them. And to hear you all today brings this perspective and brings the voice of the student to our lives. And we're busy working all day long, and so we can only imagine. So having you all on here, expressing how you're feeling, expressing it in a genuine and authentic way, I think our audience has been chiming in through the chats as well too, and I think it's a very beneficial for us to be able to connect with you all, and I hope this has been helpful for you as well, all four of you, to kind of let some of this go and to talk about it. I know we don't have those spaces as readily available, but yes, and as far as sometimes going back to school allows that environment for you to learn better, and sometimes these Zoom classes is where that's just where it is, and that's how the learning is going to be. But there also is the safety aspect, and so we can't expect that everyone's just going to be hoorah ready to go, because this is a real thing. We've lost a lot of lives, and this is a difficult time for us, and so this keeps us with our finger on the pulse. So thank you all the students. And so like I said as well too, we do have, hold on, we got two questions that came in. One is, how do you feel distance learning in your first year will affect you in your future profession? If any of you four want to chime in on that, we would love to hear your perspective. How do you feel that distance learning right now, this 9 months that you've been in it, how is that going to be helpful for you in your accounting or in your pre-med, or do you feel like you found some silver linings at all? Malik, Robert?
I think you did touch upon it earlier on the episode when I did mention of like having to reach out to the higher ups, either as your professor, boss, whatever, who it is, having that communication of just making sure your responsibilities are met and having that relationship with your boss or professor, knowing that we have the same goal, we have the same mindset, just life does happen and certain things do get in the way, but that doesn't mean your view of that goal is being moved away. So having that communication is something that I did have to build this semester, and for sure it's going to help me in my future profession.
I love that. Malik, how about you?
For me, definitely just being grateful that we are out in the world interacting with each other. Being stuck in the house, being kind of isolated really doesn't feel good. Like for me, I started to be more of like a social butterfly in a sense. Like towards the end of high school, so I really sad we have to stay home. But I feel like if I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be working with a lot of people, interacting, and I feel like during the quarantine, it kind of taught me to be more understanding of people's like their backgrounds, of their homes, and what they go through and whatnot. So kind of just making me like, I feel like I'm gonna wake up more days now, like not being so, I have to go to work, but like, oh, okay, I gotta go to work. People actually need help based on like, what they have to go through at home. So.
That's a remarkable perspective. Thanks, Malik. And Alexia, Jason, anything to share as far as like how you feel this is going to help you in your future? This Zoom environment, this distance learning, the skills that you've had to hone in on during this time. Jason?
I think This helped me see things different in a different matter. I know like you could see, well, I see the opportunity in this. So like being blessed, I truly believe in God's plan. Even though it may be very vague, I always picture that I'm in a car with him and he's the one driving and I'm just the one giving him directions and he's the one taking me wherever he wants eventually. I see that, and I think that there's a reason why I'm here, the reason why there's this Zoom, and I feel like everything must be there for a reason. And right now, this is just an obstacle, and somehow we just gotta jump over and continue on.
Amen, Jason. Keep that fire alive. That is a wonderful disposition to have in life. Giving it up to him. He is the ultimate plan maker. Sometimes they say he laughs at all of our plans because there's only one that we're really on. So, Alexia, anything you feel like you're going to take with you into your future?
I feel like communication is the one thing that I'm gonna take from this, because online, it's really hard for you to communicate with your professor or friends. But like going to office hours, you really have that opportunity to ask questions, to make new friends, and yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thanks, Alexia. And so we will wrap up here. I know we only got a few minutes, so if it goes over, we do just ask you all to just sit tight and close it out with us. We're so grateful that everyone was able to attend today. Thank you, Jason, Malik, Robert, and Alexia. Your perspective and your voices today really, shined a light on how everyone is actually feeling, and just small bits of how the world is in your eyes, how it's going for you at college and in school. And so there are a lot of difficulties and struggles that you guys are going through, but you guys are on top of it. You guys are still smiling and you're getting through it, and that's so wonderful to see. Martin and Renee, this is going to be for you. Last little question. Are you guys seeing anything similar to your current seniors as far as like their preparedness to come back? Are some of them loving hybrid more? How do you guys see some of your current seniors right now feeling about going back to school? Renee?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Renee.
I think it's kind of a little bit of both. I think that there are certain aspects that they are definitely eager to be a part of again, and more of those are probably, the social piece that I know that they miss. As a parent, it's a little bit heartbreaking to kind of watch, things that are supposed to happen senior year not happen for your child too. And certainly, we're like that about all of our students, prom and homecoming and grad night and kind of rites of passages. So I think that they're excited about that. As far as academics, again, PMA has just been so strong through it all. I don't feel that our kids have missed anything. I still see my kids at home being challenged in the same way. So I think that they probably miss each other, but as far as the academics, they're doing well, and they're certainly prepared, and our college acceptances are very exciting right now to keep watching as they're starting to come in. So I think that, like all four kids said today, there's certainly an upside and a downside. With every blessing, there's a curse, and back and forth. And so you have it. I think that there are some very powerful lessons that they're learning through this whole thing as well, in terms of just flexibility. And, one of the kids said, life happens. This is life. So these are the big learning experiences that you don't really get in a textbook. They're kind of just having to live and to learn. And I think that they're going to take that to their college experience and really just kind of have the best of all worlds in the end.
Very well said. Thank you, Renee. And Martin, how are you feeling the feedback or the temperature is over there?
Yeah, no, I was surprised when we surveyed our parents and our students. Actually, the irony is, the parents at a higher rate want their kids back than the actual students want to be back. But I was surprised about 50% of our students are coming back. So that surprised me. And the interesting thing, the conversation for Brother John and I, the principle is, because of this model, do we continue on a hybrid even next year? Is there an online option for students or families who want that? How does that work into our system? So that's an interesting thing from the pandemic, is some people kind of like Robert touch upon, that he likes the flexibility of his job. Some of our students that I talked to, some of my cross-country runners that surprised me, they're real social guys, but some of them like the way things are going because it gives them more flexibility with practice and their lives. So just interesting. That to me has been the surprise of this, and then the lasting effect for us is that we're running schools. Will this change? Will we give the option for students next year in the fall who want to remain with an online option? So that's something that we will probably deal with during the summer, and then we'll see what it looks like in the fall. But that for me has been the biggest surprise.
Right. Thank you for sharing. No, I definitely think that that's going to be one of the most heavy conversations and topics throughout all our schools is the choice. Do we give choice? How strict, how rigid, how are we developing this, and how are we going to deploy this out to so many different households that are facing so many different things? And so I thank you all, especially Renee and Martin, for being there day in and day out, continually pushing forward to provide the Catholic education that our kids deserve. So thank you, Renee. Thank you, Martin. We appreciate all your work. Absolutely. And so we'll wrap this up with just a few more announcements. We thank you so much for hanging tight with us. We'll wrap up here shortly, but one huge thank you and one last nod of thanks to all of our guests this morning. Thank you very, very much. We'd like to also extend a thank you to all of our Catholic schools across the Archdiocese of Los Angeles for their dedicated work, especially during this past year. So if this episode has touched your hearts and you feel that you can give right now, please visit our website at cefdn.org /donate now. And do remember that 100% of your donation goes directly to the tuition awards that we provide. And also, if you'd like to learn more about Cathedral High School, you can visit them at www.cathedralhighschool.org. And if you'd like to learn more about the PMA community, St. Pius X, St. Matthias Academy Warriors, you can visit them at piusmatthias.org. And also, before we close out this morning, I want to let you all know that Coffee with CF will be airing next Wednesday, March 24th at 10 a.m., our usual time and our usual day. This episode is particularly exciting because we will be hearing from St. Joseph High School in Santa Maria. And so this is our Santa Barbara pastoral region. And we're always happy to hear their perspective on things too. And a special thing about them is that they've been back to in-person instruction since October of 2020. So we have another school that will kind of peel back the layers on how they've been faring. And so we get the pleasure of speaking to the principal, vice principal, and 2 current seniors to see how their preparedness for college and just the process of applying to college and receiving guidance and ultimately being accepted. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful episode. So please do remember to RSVP for next week's episode on our website, just as you did for today's, at cefdn.org /coffee with CEF. And that concludes our episode. Thank you, Robert, Malik, Jason, Alexia, Renee, Martin. You guys really made my day, and I hope that everyone else enjoyed this episode too. So God bless. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Unmute, give your affirmations and whatever you'd like to say to our guests. Feel free. Thank you, everybody.